Hi everyone, Bandanner here, and I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm taking a look at the Cyber Knights Flashpoint Early Access release. You may have seen me playing this over on Twitch early last week, and also I've covered the demo back in one of the Steam events. It's a turn-based shooter along the lines of Xcom with a few twists and a cyberpunk setting. Cyber Knights is now out in early access, as I say, and many thanks to the Trese Brothers for the key so I could play the game early and do this review. As of right now, most of the main game features are active other than the base building. Currently there are 6 classes, each with an extensive talent tree, but they plan to double this to 12 during early access. It also includes right now 15 to 20 hours of story-based content, as well as various contracts and missions unrelated to the storylines. Now, as ever with this being early access, the game is not without bugs, some minor and some more major, but the team behind the game have been very fast at putting out fixes. The soft block I had on stream, for example, was fixed within 24 hours, and a map bug was fixed live while I explained the problem to the developer Andrew on their Discord. That's pretty fast service. Since the early access launch and time of writing this, there have been 5 patches, including some updates to things like icons and other improvements to various aspects of the game, not just bug fixes. So it's pretty good going for just about as many days. Now, it's early access, so I'm not going to focus on the bugs as they're always expected, but I did want to mention how fast and responsive they have been at fixing them. And yes, I put a little clip of this bug in the background because it amused me. I'll also note that this bug was fixed within a matter of hours of me reporting it, and that's a very fast response, especially on a Saturday. When it comes to early access games, how the dev team responds to these things really sets the tone for me, and these guys have done a really good job so far of reacting quickly and solving problems as they need to, so you can consider me fairly impressed. So what about the game and its story? Well, it has several ongoing storylines which will be expanded relating to some of the crew on a personal level, or indeed just the crew that you control as a whole and its progression through this underworld environment. You reach a stopping point for some of these fairly early on, but others continue as you level up your team and complete their associated contracts and missions, and the ones that don't continue, or the ones that eventually reach that stopping point, will continue in the future. It's just that that's not in the early access version yet. When it comes to the gameplay, it kind of has these 2 areas. You have the base and then the actual missions, a lot like you do in the Xcom games, for example. Currently in the base you have access to the barracks, where you can edit your crew, assign talent points as they level up, and this is also where you'll send them for medical treatment if they get injured, though they do heal slowly over time just sat in the barracks. The talent trees are fairly extensive, and each talent actually has various upgrades you can do, and really you can customize the characters how you want. Some parts of the tree are red, and this is because your character needs some special kind of cybernetic implants first to gain access to these more advanced skills. You can also change out weapons, armor, secondary items on this screen, or completely customize the appearance of every single character. I will note a lot of things cost money, implants for example, using the doctor, buying new items and weapons, but there are actually 2 types of currency in the game. Firstly, you have the money, which you earn from completing missions, but you also have favors, and in this rather underhand world that you operate in, people owing you a favor can be very beneficial, as you can spend these favors on bonuses before missions to then use them within a mission, perhaps to reduce the increasing security level to make the mission a bit easier, or disable some of the active security systems when you first go in. And these are decisions you'll have to make each time you go into the planning stages of a mission. Some will have multiple options, some will have none, and there are even some that you might not have access to for whatever reason, but some of them will cost money and some of them will come down to the favor system. The missions, or contracts as they're called in-game, come in a variety of flavors, some more straightforward than others, but generally you can break them down into the usual groups. Fetch an item, kill a target, reach a point, /activate, then extract, or defend an area, etc, etc. A lot of them are based on you go in, you do your thing, and then you have to get out before you get killed. All of this is then complicated by the security systems within these missions. A security AI that gradually increases the security response level, making the missions harder the longer you stay, by spawning more security countermeasures, or indeed spawning more enemies. Or indeed, if you go in loud and you set off all the security systems straight away, then that security level is going to ramp up very quickly. The game has a couple of really interesting systems which kind of set it apart from other games. One of those is initiative, so each time you end a turn with your character, they must roll an initiative roll. The higher the roll, the higher they are in the next turn's go order, and that applies to the enemies as well, so this can really mess up your plans if the enemy gets to go first, so it's always good to have a backup plan. The good news is some of the many talents in the game can affect this initiative roll, and you can utilize this to boost one of your characters or more up the tree a little bit. Another interesting feature which they've added to the game is recoil, which makes you have to consider carefully who you are shooting at and how often you shoot, and how much movement will affect that shooting. Though I think this is still undergoing some work in the background, but the system is in place. Now, other than the standard stealth and or combat side of the missions, there's also various opportunities for the hacker class to literally hack the system, and it's another mini-game. Sadly, there's no tutorial covering this yet, though I did ask and it is planned. You can kind of work it out as you go, but it's quite involved. It's not just picking a lock like you would in Elder Scrolls games. I feel like they've put a lot of effort into this hacking system, and it certainly feels like more than just a little lock-picking mini-game. So I hope they manage to place a tutorial in for it before release, because it really would be helpful to have some guidance there. Just thinking about my overall thoughts on combat, I really enjoyed it. I think it has a good mix of melee and range mechanics. You're not just relying on guns. It also has the talents that interact with the environment, aka turning off security devices, or indeed having an effect on either your own characters or the enemies. I also like the fact that most missions have little extra bits that can force you to make choices between trying to finish all the objectives or just completing the most important ones and moving on before you get into a fight you just can't win. You just really have to ask yourself, is it worth opening that last locker full of goodies? Regarding the sound and graphics, the game sound is pretty solid. I really like the music in the game, and I am greatly appreciating the fact that the team made sure they own the rights to the music so I don't get copyright issues. Plus, it means I can listen to the music while I'm recording stuff for the game. You don't realise until you start making videos how frustrating it can be when you aren't warned in advance one way or the other, and you end up uploading an hour-long video only to find that all the music in it is copyrighted, and that's just been a complete waste of your time. But as I say, thankfully that's not a problem here, and I appreciated the advanced warning that it was all okay to use. The art style is very cyberpunk. I quite like it personally, though I know there will be people out there who find it perhaps a bit too blocky, but I think it works really well, and the environments themselves are really nice to look at, and there is a good variety of location/environments for the missions as well. It's not like you're just seeing the same thing over and over again. So far, I've been very impressed with Cyber Knights and the team's efforts to fix the bugs that have come up very quickly. I like all these additional features that they have, such as the initiative rolls, the hacking minigame, and the extensive talent trees. And seeing how much effort went into these areas, I'm very curious to see how the base building is going to pan out, and what's going to be an option there. If you're a fan of games like Xcom or Xenonauts, then I think you will really enjoy this, and the various new ideas it brings to the formula. It is, however, early access, and it's buggy, and that should be expected, though the bug fixes have been very, very fast. As ever, I will say that I never tell anyone to buy an early access game. It has to be up to you. But as long as the team continue on the path they are, I think they're onto a good thing. Currently the game is 10% off at just £22.49, with the regular price being £24.99, and you can convert that into whatever currency you like. I will of course check back with the game as it progresses through early access, especially once they get the base building in. Thanks again to the team for the key, keep up the good work, and thank you all for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon.